I think I might have to get that dog in a second, but if he doesn't stop barking. Anyway, you know, one of the things that I think is really important is that we come together as a community to not just support each other during this time, but also to be moving and breathing and, sorry guys, moving and breathing and learning all the time. I think it's actually a really good opportunity for us when we can't really do anything else to be, you know what, I'm gonna go get that dog, Matt. Can you give me a second?
Yes, absolutely. I'll fill some space with, there are a number of resources that we've done with Catherine that I'll put into the chat here as well. So we've worked with Catherine for a number of years and have, I think Catherine and I were counting probably over 50 videos that she'll speak to this, and something that you can use for your members as well, free of charge. Send that to them now and utilize those videos. So I will dig those up and post them in the chat for anybody who's interested in utilizing those videos.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, we have so much video content on the website, and what's really cool about it, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but they're very specifically marked. So you can use that video content to send out to any of your players that are maybe struggling with problems with their hips or balance or breathing or C posture or sway or whatever it is. They're short videos, but they're very, very specific. So we want you guys to utilize that content that I've created for the PGA of Canada. And then there's some other business opportunities we'll talk about in the second half of this. So really what I want to do for the first half hour is take you guys through a Yoga for Golfers class. Well, Hank, this is my other guy. He's 155 pounds. Sorry, guys. Anyway, I want to take you guys through it. We're going to first start with an assessment because all of our training sessions start with an assessment. It's not an assessment that is a screen because there isn't a number that's associated with it. There isn't a pass-fail. It's simply for you to start to look at how your golfers are moving in tri-plane movement patterns. Everything I do is in tri-plane movement patterns. The sagittal plane, flexion and extension, the frontal plane, lateral bending, and the transverse plane, which is rotation. So everything we do is designed around the biomechanics of golf and moving the athlete in all three planes of motion, all right? So we'll start out with the assessment. I'll take you through that. Then we'll do a dynamic warm-up, which could be something that would be even separate from the entire class, which will only be 30 minutes. Then we'll move into some standing poses, talk about gravity and ground reaction forces, how to use that, how to teach your athletes how to utilize the ground, how to push against the ground, how to utilize the force of gravity to generate more power and distance. Also helps with endurance. And then we'll finish with some seated stuff. And then we'll transition and we'll come back to this more intimate conversation, and we'll talk more about the business applications of yoga for golfers, okay? So let's start, and what you'll need, I'm assuming everybody has a yoga mat. If you don't, you could just be on the carpet, I'm sure is fine. And I'll give you guys a minute to go grab a golf club, because you will need a golf club, okay? Let's give you a second to grab a club. I'm sure everybody's got one right there, okay? All right, so here we go with the assessment, okay? The first thing we're gonna do with the assessment, and by the way, this whole assessment process is a phenomenal dynamic warm-up. When you have your players come to take a lesson and you wanna just get them warmed up, you're not really sure what to do, just take them through this matrix. It's called a 6-point upright three-dimensional matrix. So what you'll do is bring your arms out in front of you like this, and I'm gonna turn to the side. Take your right leg and you're gonna reach it out at ankle height. So to do that, I have to bend my left knee quite a bit to reach my right foot out at ankle height, okay? So I'm just gonna do that. Simultaneously, I'm going to bring my arms over my head because what I'm trying to do here is I wanna test and warm up my thoracic extension, okay? So I'm reaching back and I'm reaching forward. So we don't have time today to really talk about what you'd be looking for if you're assessing your athletes or your players, but what we're really looking for is challenges with mobility and also stability. So everything I do is based in dynamic stability. Okay, we'll switch sides. Your arms are out like this. Your left foot will reach out to ankle height, simultaneously reaching your arms over your head. Your eyes will stay on the horizon, you guys, the whole time. Your eyes stay on the horizon. And if you're looking at someone and you're trying to assess them, by the way, this assessment is part of our online certification, where we really go through exactly what you want to look for. And if somebody has an issue, what does that mean in terms of their golf swing? Okay, so now, hang on one sec. Okay, so that is a sagittal plane anterior assessment, because what I'm doing is I'm moving in the sagittal plane and I'm reaching forward, so that's anterior. Now let's go posterior. This will test your ability to hip hinge to load each glute independently, which of course we need to do in a golf swing. The only time your glutes are fired at the same time is at address, all right? So now your arms are out like this. Now reach your right foot out at ankle height and hip hinge to reach forward, and then come back up. We're also kind of assessing balance here a little bit, okay? So notice my leg isn't coming up here. I'm just reaching out to ankle height. I'm not putting my foot down, and I'm coming back up, okay? So do one or two more of those. And what I want you to think about in your own body, guys, is where are you feeling like you're a little bit unstable? Maybe you're a little bit wobbly. Or maybe you're super strong. Maybe your glutes fire like crazy, which is great. Okay, left leg, reach back, and hip hinge forward. Okay, so you can either keep your arms up, or you can bring them up and down. Either one, it doesn't really matter. But this is a posterior sagittal plane assessment. All right, one more. Okay. Next one is a frontal plane assessment, because we know that we need, in the golf swing for most people at address, will be a little bit of a lateral bend. Either I'm going to say right-handed golfer, just for our purposes, okay? So, frontal plane, this is also testing what's called hip internal rotation. If I have an inability to internally rotate my hip, it will negatively impact my ability to load at the top of my backswing, all right? So this is called a frontal plane assessment, because this is the frontal plane, anytime you move in this plane of motion. Arms are up. You're gonna take your right foot, reach it left, try not to put it down. Simultaneously, you're bending right. Okay, so keep going. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Okay, all we're doing is watching people's movement patterns in what I perceive or consider to be a more authentic way to assess movement. Okay, one more. All right, we'll switch sides. Okay, take it side, and up, and over. Okay, go one or two more. And you guys, you would want to get so good at doing this assessment. We're gonna do this after class too, so you can see how your range of motion has increased in just 30 minutes. But eventually you'd be able to assess your players this can take probably 3 or 4 minutes. One more. Okay, so now the next assessment is a transverse plane motion, which means anytime there's rotation. So I'm gonna stand here, my eyes will stay on the horizon, right, so I'm not turning, my arms are up. I'm gonna step out to, let's say I'm in a clock, right? I'm gonna step out to 3 o'clock as wide as I can. Step out, simultaneously rotate right, and then come back up. Okay, step out, rotate right. What you'll see with a lot of golfers is that if the hip is tight, this left leg will look like this. Okay, I've got pretty open hips, so I can keep my left leg and go into extension without collapsing in. Go one more. Okay, and then come back up. We'll switch sides. Arms are up, take it over, and back, and over, and back. So you can see, if you linked all these together and did them pretty, pretty quickly, this is a really nice warm-up on the practice tee. One more. Good, guys. All right, let's just do one more. This is just called a baseline rotation. And what I want you to do is I'm going to prove to you that in a short period of time, I can increase your range of motion between 20 and 40%. All right? So all you're doing is just stand wherever with your feet. Okay? It doesn't have to be very wide. It doesn't have to be legs together, just whatever your natural stance is. Bring your right arm up and look over your right fingertips. Okay? From here, just rotate around to the right with whatever your natural rotation is. And line up your right fingertips with something behind you that's stationary. Okay? And then come back. We're going to do that at the end of class. Bring your left arm up, rotate around, line it up with something behind you. Okay, you can let your hips go with you. It's just whatever your natural rotation is. Good, and then come back. All right, so let's start out with some breathing. Let me just lower the laptop for a second. Start out with some breathing, okay? Now, not only is this important for us during this time, but breathing is the central thing that we do in the practice of yoga and yoga for golfers. So, how can breathing help your athletes? Well, the first thing is being able to understand your breathing pattern and control your breathing pattern is the fastest way that your athletes can reset their mind, okay? It helps them control their emotions. It helps them with cognitive capabilities, which essentially equates to course management. It also helps the body be free of tension. As you know, as golf pros, if someone comes to take a lesson and they're standing at a dress and they're already tight, they can't turn. They can't do what we call eccentrically load the muscle so that they can concentrically explode the muscle. So the body needs to be free of tension, especially in putting. All right, so let's do this. We're going to start on our backs. Okay, so knees are bent. First thing is that your hands are going to come around your rib cage like this. Okay, I want you to take a big inhale. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth like you're fogging up a mirror. Do it again. Inhale. You should feel your rib cage moving, right? Right and left. And exhale. Big breath in. Inhale. And exhale. Okay, guys. Keep going. I want you to do 3 or 4 more of those. Okay? So do 3 or 4 more of those. Making a little adjustment here. There we go. Okay. Good. All right. Last breath in. Exhale, open the mouth. Good. Okay. Let's roll over onto our right side. Okay. Your head is going to be supported by your hand. Your legs are about 90 degrees to your body. Your left hand is going to come all the way up onto your rib cage right here. Okay. So it's not on my waist and it's not on my hip. It's all the way up here. From here, I'm going to take an inhale, and I should see movement in my arm. When I exhale, I'm going to squeeze my low abdominals as much as I can, because that activates what's called your transverse abdominis muscles, your TBAs. And your TBAs, when they're strong, exhale, act as a lumbar, act as a kind of a girdle and a support for your lumbar spine. Keep going. Last 2. Big breath in. Feel your rib cage move in your hand. You can see my elbow getting higher and higher and higher. As a byproduct of my breath in, exhale to squeeze your low belly, the muscles right here just above your pubic bone. Nice, guys. All right, let's switch sides. Okay, I'm going to have you do 7 breaths on your own, you guys. I want you to take responsibility for your own breathing pattern, right? It's kind of like, you know, we want our players to take responsibility for practice. In baseball, we say, you know, we want our guys to learn how to trust themselves. So by doing that, by letting them feel it on their own, like I'm doing with you right now, it makes them take responsibility for the process. Just 2 more. And 1 more. Very good. All right, let's move into a dynamic warm-up. So anytime I am taking a golfer through a dynamic warm-up, I'm doing it because the golf swing is an explosive movement that happens in under 2 seconds, okay? If I need to prepare your body, your joints, your nervous system, your mind for explosive movement, I need to keep the movement static. So if you're ever working with a player, don't ever do static poses or static movements with them when you're trying to get them to create explosive power and speed. All right, so here we go. We're gonna start out with window washers, okay? We know the hips need to go through internal and external rotation. Feet are wider than your mat, your shoulders are in external rotation. Inhale, drop your knees to the left. At the same time, bring your shoulders into internal rotation. Exhale, knees come center, arms go external. Okay, here we go, switch sides. One or two more. Okay, last one, left and right. You're breathing. You're inhaling, you're exhaling. Very good. Okay, let's take your arms down by your side. Okay, we're gonna go into articulating bridge, all right? So my low back, I should be able to slide my hand underneath my low back. From here, I'm gonna push my low back into the ground, come into a posterior tilt right here, firing up my glutes. I'm gonna curl my tail and reach all the way up, stretching my arms over my head at the same time. Exhale, I'm gonna bring my upper back down first, my mid back, my low back, and then my bum hits, okay? So keep going. So this is very good for golf for many reasons. Number one, most golfers struggle with low back pain, and I'm sure it's a challenge for a lot of you guys too with long hours that you do, all right? And what this does is this helps alleviate back pain. It also will help your golfers with the C posture, okay? The other thing is it's getting your hips into a posterior tilt right here, so that you can fire your glutes through impact. Okay, and one more time, take it down, very good. All right, so let's roll over to your left side. Use your left hand to support your head so your neck is supported. Your knees are 90 degrees to your body. Your top leg will come forward and your bottom leg will come down, okay? Now I want you to dorsiflex your ankles, okay? So dorsiflexion of your ankles means that your heel is going further than your toes, okay? Now this is super important because if you have golfers that can't dorsiflex their ankles, which is for a lot of golfers, then that's going to create dysfunction all the way up the kinetic chain starting at address. Right, let's bring your hand here. Okay, you're here, you're going to inhale to rotate open. And if you're a right-handed golfer, you want to think about rotating into your backswing because right here you're creating shoulder to hip disassociation. And then exhale, take it down. All right, guys, let's go 5. As I'm rotating open, I'm kicking my top leg more towards the computer. And down. Last one. Good. And exhale, very good. All right, let's flip over to the other side. You can tell that I'm a dog house, a dog mama. These are both Newfoundlanders, just so you know. All right, so knees are 90 degrees to your body. Top leg is out, bottom leg is down. Dorsiflex your ankles. Here we go. Inhale to roll open and think that you're turning to the target or past the target. And take it back. Last one. Or let's do 2 more. Why not, right? It's a very rainy day here on the Sunshine Coast in BC. It's not the Sunshine Coast right now. All right, last one. Here we go. Open it up. Kick this top leg away from you to get more shoulder to hip disassociation. And then exhale, take it down. Very good. All right, we're going to come to a kneeling position, you guys, and I want you to grab your club. Okay. So, if you feel any discomfort underneath your knee, because we're going to step the right leg forward, you can just take your mat and kind of double roll it up, or you can put a little towel under there or something. Okay? So, foot is forward. Now, some subtleties here. If you think about, imagine that you have like a piece of gum underneath your right foot. Okay? if you're gonna get gum off your foot, you don't push your foot forward, you're gonna pull your foot back. So don't move your foot, but drag your foot back, and that's gonna turn on your right hamstring and your right glute. And it's going to take this thigh bone, this femur bone, into internal rotation, just like at the top of your backswing, okay? The club is here, okay? You're gonna inhale forward, exhale, rotate right. Inhale back to center, exhale back. We're only gonna do 5. Inhale, exhale. Now guys, here's another thing. Your rib cage is staying down the whole time, okay? So you're creating something called intra-abdominal pressure, and the intra-abdominal pressure creates what we call proximal stability. When you have this proximal stability, proximal in your body, it creates more efficient distal mobility. One more. Keep dragging your right heel back. Keep it turned on. There we go. Okay. So now take your right foot out to a 45-degree angle. You can drop your club for a second. Okay. So I'm on a 45-degree angle here. My right hand will come on the inside of my knee. I'm pushing my knee into my hand and my hand into my knee at the same time. Okay. So this is now getting my hip, this left hip, into external rotation, but I'm still strengthening this right side. Arm is up. We're going to add a lateral bend. So as you inhale to drive your right knee forward, you're going to laterally bend right, and then exhale, come back up. My rib cage is down. Good. Creating that intra-abdominal pressure, and I'm getting extension from my left side. I'm sure you would agree that additional extension is very helpful for a lot of your players. Last one, you guys. Very good. Okay, release there. Now, actually, let's just switch sides. All right? So your left leg is forward, okay? You've got gum underneath your left foot, so drag your left heel back. You should really feel that turn on your hamstring and your glute. Your club is here. So drive your knee forward and rotate left. And then come out of it. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Last 2. And last 1. Good. Drop your club for a second. Take your left foot on a 45-degree angle, okay? So the connection between my hand and my knee and that pressure that I'm pushing against it is only about 25%. So I'm not like, oh, really, really pushing hard, but it's about 25%. And it's important because it's keeping everything integrated. So in the Yoga for Golfers program, we never let anybody sink into the joints or go beyond their end range of motion, okay? So bring the arm up. You're going to inhale to laterally bend and drive, and exhale back. One more. Good, guys. All right, here we go. Let's stand up. I still want you guys to grab your club. So just grab your club for a second and come to standing. Okay, there we go. All right. If you can, guys, let's take our mats, okay? You're gonna take the mat and you're gonna go over to the wall. So I'll give you a minute to go over to the wall, and you'll take the mat, you need your club too. Take the mat and put the mat slightly up the wall, okay? So I'll give you a second to do that. You need your club and your mat perpendicular to the wall. So we all know in the kinematic sequence, an efficient kinematic sequence starts from your feet to the hips, to the T-spine, to the shoulders, hands, and out to the club, to the top of your backswing. An efficient kinematic sequence means that in the downswing, we'll go feet, hips, thorax, shoulders, hands, club through impact, okay? I always like to present my work based on science, okay? So my education is actually in chain reaction biomechanics, and I like to bring everything that I'm doing back to the science of movement for golf, all right? So let's think about the kinematic sequence. We're gonna start at the feet. Your right foot will be on the floor, your left heel will be against the wall, okay? Take a big step forward with your left foot, okay? So now, you can use the club here. So by the way, the butt of your club should be on the ground, okay? Now, from here, don't move your left knee. but drag your left hip back to turn on your left glute. All I'm going to do is bend and straighten my back leg. So I'm going to take a little inhale and bend my back knee a little bit. Exhale, I'm going to drive my right leg as straight as the shaft of the club. Okay, I'm going to inhale. I'm going to exhale, drive my heel through the wall back behind me. So right now, my right hip is in extension, but my right glute is turned on like crazy, so is my left. Okay, so bend and straighten. One more. Bend and straighten, very good. Hold here, hold the club. You're going to take an inhale here, exhale, rotate left. And come back to center. Let's just do 5. So check in with your back leg, guys. Is there a bend in your back knee? There shouldn't be. Your back leg should be as straight as the club. One more. Good. Now from here, you're going to drop the club down. Keep your right leg against the wall. Okay, your right hand will come down to the ground. Don't let your left hip slide out, because that's what it's going to want to do. So tuck this left hip under, squeeze your legs towards each other so your adductors, your inner thighs are turned on. That's going to help you with control of your hip motion in your ball swing. From here, we're going to inhale and rotate left, and then exhale down. Let's do 5. Drive your back heel into the wall, you guys. All right? One more time. Good. Look down towards the ground. Take a step up. Shake out your legs for a second. So what we're doing here is we know that the most powerful muscle in your golf swing is your glute. That and that single leg glute activation right there, what we just did. So we're strengthening the glutes. The other thing we're doing is we're strengthening the lower body. And the lower body has a lot to do with our players being able to play 18 holes without getting fatigued. Because we know that once they start to fatigue physically, the next thing that follows is the mental capacity, okay? So let's switch sides. Left toes are on the floor, left heel is on the wall, right leg forward, okay? So feed your right hip back and under, okay? So I don't ever want my guys to sway, right? So this can actually help alleviate sway. If I'm squeezing my legs towards each other, you can even see the difference in my body. Here I'm not active with my lower body, here I'm very active, okay? So take an inhale, bend your back knee. Exhale, drive your heel through the wall and the left hip into extension. Let's do a couple more. One more. Good, you guys. So your back leg should be shaking, okay? If it's not, make your back leg straighter. All right, here we go. Arms are up. Inhale, exhale, rotate right. Let's do 5. Good. Drop the club. Bring your hand down. All right, so this right hip right now is going to want to sway to the right. Don't let it do that. And hug this right knee in towards your body. Okay, inhale, rotate right. Exhale down. We'll do 5. Good, guys. Look down towards the ground. Take a step up. Very good. Grab your club. Shake out your legs for a second. I'm going to have a little sip of water. Okay, let's do one more standing pose. So I travel all over the country doing lots of clinics, power and distance clinics, putting clinics, full day yoga for golfers events. And a lot of the power and distance clinics, I'm teaching my players how to use the ground. So there's something you guys know about this, right? It's called ground reaction forces. We use force plates, body track, all of that to measure ground reaction forces. In Major League Baseball with all of our teams, some of my teams actually measure these guys' ability to create ground reaction forces on a daily basis with force plates. But for our golfers, I use a pose called chair pose to teach them how to use the ground. And I want to take you guys through this process. This is also a really great thing that you can do with your guys just when they get to a lesson with you, especially if they're, you know, running to the lesson and they've just come from work or wherever they're doing, they're kind of like all over the place. This is a way to get them to kind of get grounded and centered. So you can take the club and hold it here, okay? My feet will be hip width apart, okay? Now just take a moment here for a second, you guys, and I want you to, you can even close your eyes if you want to. Think about what the ground looks like a foot below your feet, okay? So from here, we're gonna sit back into a chair pose. Now, if you look at me for a second, my knees didn't come forward like this. My bum is back, and frankly, I'm in a hip hinge. So you could even do it like this, hip hinge here, okay? Now think about what the ground looks like below your feet. Take an inhale, and now push your lower body a foot into the ground to start to straighten your legs. Really push your body, your lower half into the ground, okay? We're gonna come down again, and I want you to think about what the ground looks like 2 feet below your feet, okay? Take a breath in, and as you exhale, push into the ground 2 feet below your feet. But simultaneously, you guys, drag your feet apart as if you're ripping the mat in half, but don't move your feet. All right? Let's go 3 feet down. Bend your knees, bend your knees. Imagine 3 feet below the ground. Take an inhale. Exhale, push into the ground and drag your feet apart. Really pull them apart. And hold here. All right, take a moment, get into your dress position with your club, and see how grounded you feel right now, connected to the ground before you begin your takeaway. So that's actually a pretty cool little tool to use with your players. You can do that right away. All right, we're going to go one more standing pose, then we'll come down to the ground. I probably have time for one more pose. It would be great if you guys are interested. We can continue to do this if and when we meet again, either over Zoom or at your clubs. What we might do, what we did today, we might not do. The philosophies will always stay the same, but the pose applications are often very different. All right, so we're gonna come into a chair pose, into a warrior 3. The club will be in your left hand, okay? So I want you to come back into that chair pose, right? Now, you're going to load your right side. Notice I didn't say shift your weight. I want you to load your right side. Think that you're doing a hamstring curl with the left leg. Okay, my right leg will stay bent. I'm gonna come into a warrior 3 pose. Think about the ground below you. Inhale, exhale, push into the ground to bring your body up. Okay, chair, hamstring, warrior 3. Single leg glute activation. Inhale, exhale, push into the ground to come up. One more time, chair, right? Load your right leg, don't shift your weight or sway to the right. Load your right leg, warrior 3, and then come on up. Very good, we'll switch sides. The other thing, let me just take a moment before we switch. These balancing poses are an opportunity to help train your golfers on the mental aspect of the game. So there's yoga philosophy that has to do with one-pointed concentration and moving inward and withdrawing from the senses. So I use these standing poses as an opportunity to talk to my golfers about just staying focused. If you can just stay focused on one spot for this next progression of movement patterns, then you're a step closer to being able to concentrate on the course, okay? So here we go. I'm not gonna talk you through this, you guys. I want you to stay focused on the spot on the ground. So let's work the mental side of the game, okay? So, chair, hamstring, warrior 3, push into the ground. 2 more on your own. Awesome. Great job. Okay, you can put your club away. Bye, Bodhi. All right. I'm going to assume that you guys don't have a yoga strap. So if you don't have a strap, let's just do this without it. If you do have a strap, you would put the strap around your right foot, but let's just do it without it. That way everyone's on an even playing field. Everyone's on the first tee. Okay. All right. Pull your right knee into your chest. You're going to interlace your hands around your hamstring. Okay. Your right leg is straight up to the sky. You're dorsiflexing your ankle. Your left leg is extended and you're dorsiflexing that ankle. Now push your leg into your hand and your hand into your leg. So what's really interesting about the hamstring mobility, it's actually really good to maintain good knee flexion and uneven lie. The hamstring, not just mobility, but strength, okay? So hold here and breathe, right? Now let's bend your knee. Take your right knee out past your right shoulder. Bring your left arm into external rotation. Think about your left leg here, okay? Take a big breath in, and when you exhale, extend your left leg further out past your body. Okay, inhale again, and exhale, extend your leg out past your body, even further, like another foot. We're going to get more hip extension on this side. One more time, and exhale. Good. Give yourself a spinal twist over to the side. Hi. Hey, buddy. Okay. Good. All right, come on up. We'll switch sides. Interlace your hands around your hamstring. Leg goes straight up to the sky. Dorsiflex both ankles. Hamstring into the hand, hands into the hamstring. Excuse me. Okay, buddy, you can go. Yes, he is 100. He's 155 pounds, but I said his driver's license says he's 137. Okay, there you go. Take your left knee out past your left shoulder. Bring your right arm into external rotation. Okay. Take a big breath in, and on the exhale, push this right leg further away from your body. So really extend it out. Do it again. Inhale. Exhale, extend your leg out. Inhale, one more breath. Exhale, extend your leg further. There you go, guys. And then give yourself a spinal twist. You guys, just so you know, I do Zoom calls all day long, and the dogs are never down here. So for some reason, they want to be involved. Good. All right, guys, very good. Okay, let's come on up, and let's do those assessments again, and then we'll have a conversation. All right, so here we go. We'll start out with the sagittal plane assessment. Let me just move the laptop up a little bit higher. Okay. So the sagittal plane assessment, arms are out. You're going to take your right leg and reach it out at ankle height and go into extension. All right, let's just do 3 on each side, and you tell me if you feel a difference in your mobility and your stability. Switch sides. Reach out, reach back. And I personally feel way more stable than I did 30 minutes ago. One more. Good. Okay, that's anterior. Let's go posterior now. Okay, so your arms are like this. You're going to reach out behind you, Cody. Okay, you're going to reach out behind you at ankle height and hip hinge forward. Do you feel like you have more efficiency in your ability to hip hinge and load your glute? I definitely do. Okay, let's switch sides. One more. Good, guys. Okay, so let's go frontal plane assessment. Arms are up. Right leg crosses left, laterally bend right. We'll do 3. All right, switch sides. Okay, let's do the transverse plane assessment. So step to the left, arms are up. Your eyes will stay on me. Step out right, rotate right, and come back up. All right, so what you want to check in there with is your hip extension, your thoracic rotation. Arms are up, step out, rotate, and back. One more. Nice job. Okay, last and final assessment, baseline rotation. You should have between 20 and 40% more increase in your range of motion. So come back to where you were. This is the hardest part, remembering where you were. All right, bring your right arm up and rotate around. Can you rotate? Are you rotating now 20 to 40% more than you were 30 minutes ago? Good. All right, arms are up, and then we'll rotate left. Let's see where you are. All right, there we go. Nice job. Thanks, guys. Namaste. Okay. So, Matt, can we do this where people can unmute themselves if they have a question about any of that before we start talking business?
I should unmute myself first. Yeah, anybody who wants to chat can just unmute their line and ask a question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So the last exercise where you're laying on the ground with the legs straight up.
Yes.
Your leg was straight up. Mine was like a 45-degree angle.
That's
Is
okay.
it just a matter of doing it like repeatedly to get back to the flexibility needed?
Absolutely. It's just, you know what? The more you do it, the more benefit you receive. Here's a yoga strap. You can buy this anywhere, any sport check or whatever. If you get a yoga strap, you should actually have the strap around your foot. But because I didn't know that I figured everyone didn't have a strap, I didn't put it around the foot. But that's typically where I do put it, is around my right foot. So even if my leg is, like my leg was 90 degrees to my body, even if your leg is here, at least your leg will be supported and it won't be so strainful. But absolutely. And you can do that every day.
And you want to make sure your leg is straight, right, when you're doing it?
You do want to make sure your leg is straight. But if you're feeling any discomfort behind your knee when your leg is extended, then what you would do is put about a 5-degree bend in your knee.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Did anybody else, I'm curious, how was the kind of post-assessment in terms of dynamic stability and your range of motion, and did you get more range of motion when we did that baseline assessment?
Much better.
Cool. Anybody else?
Yeah, anyone with questions can, again, just unmute your line and chime in. Maybe Catherine, I'll start with what are common things you see with the average golfer in that assessment?
I think the most common thing I see dysfunction that comes from their ankles that translates up into dysfunction in their hips. And I see, the two things that I see most are an inability to dorsiflex the ankle, like we talked about, and also the inability to go into hip extension, and the inability to be able to either go into thoracic extension, right, because they're in a C posture so much, or they're just challenged by range of motion, transverse plane range of motion in their thoracic spine. I think if I had to pick 3 things, I'd say those are the top 3 things I see.
Great. Any other questions? Either chat in or.
Yeah, I have a little one. So you said that the biggest issue with some of the golfers is in their ankles. So how can we address that? Would it just be warming up the ankles as you did and stuff like that, or how can we apply that?
Yeah, I think anything that you can do to warm up the ankles. If you think about that progression we did kneeling, where your right leg was forward and you were kneeling on your back knee, right? And we lunged forward, so that takes the knee over the ankle to take it into ankle dorsiflexion. And then we rotated over that, if you remember that progression. And then when I moved my right knee out to a 45-degree angle, that gets into a different part of the ankle mobility, right? Because I'm not going straight on sagittal, I'm going out to a 45-degree angle. Even having them do that, I think is good. Even them having them, flex and point, and roll the ankle around to warm up the ankle. I've been traveling all over speaking. I just spoke to 4,000 coaches in January. Well, it wasn't not just, but yeah, in January. And what I spoke about was foot function, and the issue with a lack of foot function, not just ankle dorsiflexion or plantar flexion, but the whole foot, is an immediate leak of power.
Mhm. No,
Right?
thank you.
Yeah, I'm curious. I want to know, how did that, when we did that progression of bending the knees into a chair pose and pushing into the ground and dragging your feet apart, did you feel more connected to the ground after that progression?
My lower back definitely felt it. I don't know if that's normal. I've sprained my ankles a few times. So
Okay.
for me, that's why I would like to focus more on footwork. And I didn't know it was that common amongst so many golfers. So
It's very common. And I think one of the reasons it's so common is because our population has spent so much time with their feet bound in shoes.
mhm.
They don't walk around a lot with their feet being able to be mobile and feel the ground and all of that. I'll just segue back to kind of an interesting baseball story. So with my teams, I'm responsible for assessing many of the athletes. And there's 5 assessments that we do. With my golfers, I assess for 21 movement patterns. On the MLB side, there's really just 5 because there's just so many people. But the first thing is ankle dorsiflexion. And on the minor league side, all of the Latin, non-North American players passed, not all, that's an exaggeration, a large number of them passed the ankle dorsiflexion test. Whereas many of the North American baseball players failed the ankle dorsiflexion test. And we think the reason that is because the Latin kids grew up not wearing shoes.
So maybe during this quarantine, we could practice golfing in our homes barefoot. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. Okay. So Matt, should we, if anybody else has anything to chime in, should we chat a bit about the business application?
Actually, I've got one question, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Go ahead, Isaac.
That's more on a personal level. Now, I've got an L5 and an L6 disc, without a disc in between. And certain exercises, when I do it, everything that I've read and the doctors that I've seen told me it's not supposed to hurt, but it does. So if I will move my leg in a certain direction when I'm flat on the ground, it shoots up a little warning signal to my brain, because I've been on my back for basically a year. A couple of years ago when I threw out my back, that I couldn't swing a golf club. So when I move in a certain direction, I get like a sort of a little signal going, nope, that doesn't feel comfortable.
Okay, so you know what I think we should do is, Matt, can you send him my email address? Why don't you and I get on a FaceTime call and let me give you a program just for you?
Okay, I'll appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yes, let's do that. Let's do that sooner rather than later, because I don't want anyone in pain.
Okay, thanks, Ephraim.
Mm-hmm.
I'll follow up, Isaac, right now with connecting you two.
Okay, great. Awesome. Okay. So Matt, do you, let's talk a little bit about the business application. And I think the first thing is what we talked about in the beginning of the webinar, which is, and Matt has posted a lot of these links. We have a huge amount of content on the PGA of Canada website, and I want you to share that content with your players. Share it with your entire database as something that you can include as, a point of differentiation in your teaching. We went to the time and effort to create that, not just for you, but for your clients. So please feel free to use that resource and send them those videos. I mean, we have so many on there, Matt, right? I mean, you guys could post one out once a week. We have tons of content on there. So I think at a minimum, that's a great way, as I said, to create this point of differentiation. And also, especially during this time, it's like, it's a time of caring for your clients. It's like, I care, I want you to be moving during this time and still working on your golf game, even though you can't play. So please share that is the first thing. The second thing is, we have a huge number of certified golfers, level 1 and level 2 instructors across Canada. If you go to our website, you can go to the locator. It'll say YFG instructors. It'll either say become one or find one. And you can go there and you can find an instructor that's near your area. If you don't happen to have one near your area, send me an email and I will find an instructor for you. So some of the things that we've been doing is a series of clinics. This could be kind of one model. Power and distance clinic, putting clinics, which incorporate golf instruction as well as yoga for golfers movements. So let's say, for example, Connor, let's say you and I are teaching together and it's a power and distance clinic. It could be 90 minutes. It could be kind of a one and done, or maybe it's a 4-week series, maybe every Saturday for 90 minutes. Let's say we have 16 people in the clinic. So Connor, you're going to talk to them about the golf aspect of creating more power and distance. I never speak golf. I've been a golfer my whole life, but I will never, ever, ever comment on golf mechanics. That's your job, not my job. So then I'll speak to the group on what they need to do for themselves physically to create more power and distance. We have 16 people in the clinic. 8 people will go with Connor, and they'll have a lesson, and he can do what he does from a golf instruction standpoint. I would then take the other 8 people 20 yards behind on the practice tee on yoga mats, and I will take them through a short progression of yoga poses, yoga for golfers poses that are only directed towards creating more power and distance. I wouldn't have a discussion about posture or sway or anything like that. It would simply be about power and distance. And then we switch off, and then we close it up. I also use Coach Now. I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with that. What we then do is I would take video of those poses that we do for power and distance, put it up on the Coach Now account. Connor would invite all of them by email, so it's completely private for people that have paid for the power and distance clinic. And then they have the yoga for golfers poses to do. There's always that question of, oh, this was great, but now I'll never remember. So that's kind of how a power and distance clinic can work. The other thing is it's a similar model with putting. A lot of people don't really consider that there is a physicality to putting. Because you're in static hip hinge for an extended period of time. We know from a biomechanics standpoint that what moves your shoulders and keeps your hands quiet is mobility in your thoracic spine. So we work a lot on that. We'll do work on core, and there's also a big discussion about breathing and letting your body be free of tension in putting. So the language and the poses are completely different for a putting clinic versus a power and distance clinic. So those have been going very, very well, and I think that's a really great place to start and a great place to work with a local yoga for golfers instructor. The other thing is that we are also offering full day events, which would include a yoga for golfers workshop in the morning. And then we would go and do a power and distance. Actually, we'd have a little bit of lecture first, not a lot, just to give people an idea of the theory behind what we do and how it relates to golf and why it's rooted in the biomechanics of golf. And then we take them through a yoga for golfers practice. Usually starts about 10 o'clock in the morning, somewhere in there. Take a break for lunch, which is great because then we drive revenue to food and beverage. And then we go do a power and distance clinic, and then we do a putting clinic. In the afternoon is an opportunity to do a very unique experience, which is it's a one-on-one with the yoga for golfers instructor and the golf pro. Matt, do you have that PDF? Can you put that up to show what a full day might look like?
Yep, just give me 2 seconds.
Okay. So, and
what would you charge for like a day clinic like that?
A day clinic for me personally is, well, right now it's $2,500 for the day. But I think with what we're doing is kind of looking at our pricing with the state of everything that's happening. But so for me personally, it would be $1,500 for the day. I can tell you that, and I can tell you that every club that I've ever done this with, not only will make the money back to bring me out there, but they also generate profit for the club. So the one-on-one, yeah. So if we could just, so this is the marketing PDF that we can provide for you guys. Okay, so, and this goes to the benefits to the club. And we can change up, obviously that's in Palm Desert, that photo, we can put a photo of your club in there. Talks about, what are the benefits to the club? There's a testimonial from Doug Hammer. He's the head of instruction at True North. And that's in Scottsdale, Arizona. And then this is basically a model of what the day looks like, down to the time, the breaks, exactly what people can expect in the methodologies, how the power and distance clinics differ from the putting clinics, if you see that, right? And then we take another break, and then we have one-on-ones available. Can you pause right there for a second? Thanks, Matt. Let me explain how the one-on-one goes. So let's say, for example, you have a performance center, or we can do this on the practice tee. Let's say it's a 45-minute session. The first, I would say, 15 minutes are put aside for golf instruction. So Connor, I'm looking at your face. I'm going to keep using you as an example. So Connor would do the 15 minutes, and maybe he has K-Vest, maybe there's a TrackMan, whatever it is, the technology. I'm obviously very well versed in all of the technology. All I'm doing is listening and watching the movement. But I now know what Connor is trying to get this player to do. We then spend the remainder of that 45-minute session with me doing, I would say, maybe 7 to 10 yoga for golfers progressions that I record on my phone, that goes into, that goes up to the Coach Now account, that is private and unique for that athlete and, let's say, Connor and myself. Okay, now let me just share with you the success of this one-day program. Because we have the clinics going on and the Yoga for Golfers workshop, every time I've done this, we have to add a second day, which are then just signed up for just private one-on-ones. We could also, and we have always had a waiting list of people to get into the private sessions. As you know, at your club, it only takes 4 people, the 4 people that are the biggest influencers, to have a great experience, to then say to their friends, hey, you guys really need to do this. And the other thing we do sometimes is, let's say someone wants to do the power and distance clinic, but they can't do it on that day. We could offer that on the second day, and then use the second day just for one-on-ones. And so this is the marketing piece that we have created that we can customize for you. And then if you scroll down a little more, Matt. Yeah, so here we go. This is a putting clinic. And it just shows, the customization of what we can do with the motion analysis, et cetera. And then attached to it is my bio, so people know who I am and my experience and what I bring to the table. Can we switch over to the power and distance clinic, Matt? And you guys, you can unmute yourselves, I'm sure, if you have any questions regarding the business model too. Okay, so here's an example of the power and distance clinic. This was a 4-week series, I think. Yeah, so this was a 4-week series. And again, I'm going to provide you with all the marketing material. And again, it can be completely customized to your club, with your club logo, with whatever you need. Okay. And I think that's pretty much it. Oh, the other thing I did want to add too is, if anyone is interested in the Yoga for Golfers certification, we have level 1 and level 2 available online, and we are offering a very, very deep discount at this point. If we have enough people that are interested in going through it, I would actually run it live on Zoom. I'm currently running Yoga for Golfers level 2 live on Zoom right now. But if you're interested in learning more and learning about the assessment strategies and foot function and how to work with golfers that have injuries and all of that, if we have enough people that are interested, I'm happy to run it. So I just wanted to kind of toss that out there as well.
Catherine, Dave was just wondering if he can get a copy of the brochure for reference.
Absolutely. If you can send me Dave's email, or you have them right there. So you can just send them to him, right?
Yep. Dave, okay. I'll follow up with that.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll customize it to your club, including the photos, et cetera, whatever you need.
Jamie, PDFs available. I'm assuming you meant the ones that we just went through, or were you referring to different ones? Yep, okay. I'll follow up. I don't want to send it to everybody and inundate your folder. So I see Jamie, Dave, and Connor. I'll send it off to you guys. If anybody else does want it, just shoot me a note.
Great, awesome. And then you can just follow up with me. So yeah, and if we, and then we can just work through pricing. But it's really interesting because what we're doing with those programs is and I'm sorry, I forgot to mention kind of the most important model that we do, which is ongoing yoga for golfers classes at the facility. So we can do it, when I was down in Arizona before I came back up to Canada, I was teaching twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. That is something that's a standalone, does not require the participation of the golf pro. But what's interesting is that if it's a semi-private club, we are actually getting people from other clubs to come to that club to take yoga for golfers classes. And it's been tremendous. I'm going to just give you a quick anecdote. I had a client that came for a yoga for golfers class, and he was 65 years old. He'd been playing golf his whole life. He walked up to Doug Hammer, who is the golf pro that we just showed. He's director of instruction at True North. And he said, I'm done with golf. He said, I'm out. I'm done. He said, my back hurts too much. I'm scrambling. I can't play the way that I used to. And you know how golfers are. If they can't play the way that they used to, they'll leave the game. So I said to him, do me a favor. His name was Mark. I said, do me a favor. Hang in for this 4-week yoga for golfers session. Let's see how your back is doing. And I introduced him to Doug Hammer, the golf pro. I said, please take 2 lessons with Doug. And fast forward, in about 18 months, he shot par. To this day, he takes a lesson a week with Doug Hammer and has now for this 18 months. He has also purchased over $5,000 in golf equipment from Doug. And he's bringing people from other clubs to that facility to take yoga for golfers classes. And the other thing which is a tremendous story. Not only did we keep another golfer in the game, but we got him re-engaged. And listen, we're also business people, so we need to fill our tee sheets, and we need to we need to sell clubs and get people eating in our facilities. And so that model's been working all over the world. We have instructors in 40 countries now. So I just wanted to add that. And I think we're good, right, Matt?
Yeah, I posted a link for everybody. As Catherine mentioned, we have a lot of resources and PDFs and everything that you can imagine. And I think how she opened this is connected to some of the other webinars that we've had around communications and marketing, and providing those valuable resources to your members when you can't see them in person. And we want you to use anything that is available. It's all yours and designed for you, so please utilize that.
Absolutely.
Alan, I see you unmuted yourself. Do you have a question?
No, I was just waiting for you done, and I was going to say thank you for your time.
Of course.
Hey, good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful day and stay safe. And I hope to see you all again soon.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody.